a small contribution in terms of the immunity of those authorised persons and concern for their care.
Mr Chair.
The Honourable Chris Finlayson.
I'm grateful to Mr Davis for raising those points, and I was listening. I was just trying to work out what my assumed name would be according to the Pretoria formulation, and it would be Francis Lohia, so I don't think that would work at all well. But anyway, back to serious stuff. The Honourable Member, Mr Davis, raised the issue of the immunity under Clause 34. Can I emphasise that that immunity goes to someone who is protected from civil and criminal liability for any act which is done in the course of acquiring or using or maintaining an assumed identity. But I want to emphasise to the member that any particular act by a person, be it under an assumed identity or not, has to be the subject of a warrant. So there are two parts to it, and what we're focusing on in Clause 34 is the immunity that comes when someone is in the course of acquiring, using or maintaining an assumed identity.
Jamie Lee Ross.
I move that the question be now put.
Kelvin Davis.